The Dallas Mavericks decided to re-sign Kyrie Irving. They agreed on terms for about 3 years, 126 million. How do I feel about the signing? I felt this was a situation where it kind of reminds me of a relationship where both sides just cannot do better, so they just end up staying together. Even though it's not like the ideal pairing, it's like you kind of know you can't do better than this person, and that other person can't do better than you. So you're just like, I guess we'll just make it work and we'll just settle and we'll accept our fate. I feel that's what the Mavericks did with Kyrie and Kyrie did with the Mavericks. I don't think either party was really in love with each other. It just came down to we can't do better. Kyrie, I believe, really was hoping to get out of there. I think he desperately wanted to be on the West Coast. He wanted to be in LA. He wanted to be a Laker. I just have a strong feeling about that. His other preference was to be in Phoenix with his butt boy or butt buddy, Kevin Durant. I felt that that's where he wanted to go, and that's ideally where he would have gone to if circumstances were right and those teams had the money to sign him, but they didn't. So he ended up staying with the Mavs. As with the Mavs case, they have to be all in on Kyrie now because they gave up so much depth and key role players to get him that if they didn't resign him, they could be a bad team again next year and end up in the lottery at even a higher position than they did this year. I felt the Mavericks are kind of like a fringe playoff team this year. A few things went right; they could have gotten in. Now for this upcoming season, if they don't make any big moves, I think at best they'll be somewhere around, who knows, sixth through eighth in the West. That's if Doncic and Kyrie stay healthy. I think they can get them to that level. And if you're Cuban, as depressing as it sounds, that's really all you can hope is just to get into the playoffs and maybe something magical can happen. Maybe you can go on a fluky run just like Miami did this year. So that's kind of like about it. That if Dallas had decided not to keep Kyrie, they instantly become a super lottery team, and it would not have been good for Doncic, I believe, because I think his extension kicks in now, if I'm not mistaken. So they really only have these next 3 years, I believe, to make this guy happy, to show to him that they can build a winner around him. So if they don't do that, obviously he's going to bolt. And even with keeping Kyrie, there's still a chance that he can bolt in a few years if the Mavericks are not elite team and if they're not into championship contention. So they have a lot of work ahead of them to do in retooling this team. They need to get some good role players, especially 3 and D guys to make up for Doncic's lack of defense. I feel just he's a terrible defender. So they like I said, their work is cut out for them, and this is a signing that keeps them kind of stable, I would say, in the sense that it keeps them at least at the worst at the same level as they were last year. It doesn't make them any worse, and maybe it can make them better if Doncic and Kyrie have a full year together, that they can become better. The other side of this is that with Kyrie, this guy is so mentally unstable. You just don't know if you can rely on him beyond even a few months from now. Just the way this guy mentally just shifts left and right. It wouldn't surprise me if Kyrie eventually asks to get traded. So, but even in that circumstance, you prefer to keep him because you can at least trade him for some assets. So, in the worst case scenario, this guy flames out like he always does. The Mavericks can at least trade him for something. There will always be a desperate team, especially a championship team, that would want to trade for him come All-Star break around that time. So it was a good move from Dallas just to make sure they have assets, I would say, at the bare minimum. So that's really all I had to say about this move.